How's it going, everyone? It's Dom here to remind you of the smokescreen that is the fact that scientists and archaeologists are wrong. Fucking dinosaurs do not have feathers. It's fucking bullshit. They're doing that to distract us from the real thing. And that's the fact that fucking lizard people exist, and it's not all that malicious, but they're the one that are delaying a fucking Bully sequel. It's them. I know this. See, it turns out actually Alex Jones just feeds me all the like secrets and reveals that he just doesn't understand completely, or doesn't think is all that interesting because it involves video games. But here, I shall shed the truth. I think that's the stupidest intro for one of these things I've done so far. You're welcome. Now today, since I don't have any questions, I thought I'd talk about something, some advice that I gotten recently that has been pretty helpful and instrumental in what I'm doing. See, now that I've graduated from university, I've actually been given the opportunity to take video editing as a job a lot more seriously, you know? I mean, I've been doing that anyways, but previously I would be doing odd gigs whilst I was at uni, where I was still studying and putting the time and effort into assignments and writing, which I still do nowadays, but just not as much because I gotta make that cheddar. And back then, I only took, like, gigs and odd jobs from friends because I was just starting out. I couldn't promise to reach any like deadlines they might have wanted, or if anyone had wanted. But on the plus side, mostly because they were my friends, I offered them like gigs to myself, but they were like super cheap. Like I'd only stopped doing this recently. Like I want to say November, December is when the last one I did. I can't even remember when that was, but yeah, luckily I've actually gotten to a point now where I'm doing regular work for people who started off as strangers, and you know it's all legit. It's good. I'm enjoying it, honestly. Even if there are times where like you know things go wrong and like oh you need this by this certain day, I'm good with it. But I will say part of me has been going about certain ways of running a business the wrong way, and I'm not trying to like embiggen myself or like make myself out to be like more of a hardworking and like serious and successful person or anything by calling it a business. That's just legit. That's what I do now. I'm a business. I'm self-employing myself to do video editing for other people. And there are certain things whilst I was starting off, well, I'm still technically am starting off, but whilst I was still like proper starting off, that I was doing wrong, and I got some very useful advice from a family member. Now, you might know kind of what this advice is based on the title, but if you don't, basically, my mother told me of a time when they were working as a PA in a large newspaper company, and they got the advice that I'm about to tell you. Like, they got it from someone, and she's passed it on to me, and I'm gonna tell you as best way I can explain it. Bear in mind, there's some Chinese whisperings kind of stuff going on here of like person to person, and I don't have the best memory, so I've tried to write down what I'm pretty sure she told me what the message and the core of the thing is. But yeah, this advice is from when they were working as a PA in a large newspaper company. See, when you're the PA at a newspaper company, a lot of the assholes and lazy shit for brains try to offload their work that they see as unimportant or not worth their time onto you because you're a PA. And when you're in that sort of position, you can't really afford to be a people pleaser. You can't really afford to say, oh yeah, sure, I'll do that. You know, like try and like do something that to them would be like a menial task, but meanwhile, it's piling up on your workload. So when you're a people pleaser, you can't let that sort of behavior ingrain yourself in your workflow, in your work life. And that's what was happening to my mum. She was doing her regular PA job, and other people were coming in and offloading stuff for more things for her to do, and it was not good. And this guy who worked at the newspaper company recognized what my mum was going through and quite simply told her, "You're a PA of a multi-million-pound company. Assume the role." And my mum pretty much instantly knew what he meant because she's smart, whereas she had to explain it to me because I'm not. What this advice meant is that you take your job, its roles, and its responsibilities and tasks seriously. You do the work you're supposed to do, not what people decide they can offload onto you. You do your duties, your tasks, and accept the responsibilities that come with your position, not someone else's. Now, that's not to say you should always say, no, fuck off, do your own work to someone asking you to do something for them. Rather, you tell them you can do it for them, but in a way that isn't immediately beneficial to them. So say if you're in a PA role, for an example, and somebody asks you to like do some cleanup and editing of a piece that they've brought forward to you, you know, just like say it's the fucking 70s or whatever, where like there's no fucking automated spell check, you know, you got to make sure there's like the grammar's tight and everything, and you gotta fucking like do it all manually, right? Instead of just saying, yeah, sure, I'll do that, what you do is you say something like, oh, I can't do it right now, but I'll pencil you in 3 days from now. You know what I mean? Now, that's not to say you should always just say, no, fuck off, go do your own work, to someone asking you to do some extra bit of work for them, but rather you tell them that you can't do it right now, but you can pencil them in 3 days from now. Some of you might already know what I'm getting at, but basically, you need to command respect as much as you give it in a job. Certain positions that you're in as a job will mean that you will have to command respect. This might not be applicable if you're like at the bottom of the rung, like bottom step of a ladder kind of job in just like in like retail or something, but it's more to do with roles where you will need to command a bit of respect. Just as much as you give respect to your fellow employees and your higher-ups and everything like that. You don't have to use that exact example, but you know, you gotta do stuff to essentially command respect to make it look like you're doing work that's important, that you need to do, and you can't afford to be like dilly-dallying around with other people's problems. You can help, but not immediately. When you do this, people won't try to take advantage of you as often because people will realize they can't. People will see you as less of a pushover. You're commanding respect from your co-workers and your employers. Like, don't get me wrong, this isn't like some like thing to advise you on doing less work. It just means don't take on stuff you're not really supposed to take on without careful consideration and making sure that you're doing your workload first and it's your priority because you're paid to do your job, not someone else's. As for how this affects me in video editing, well, I am paid to do certain things. You know, I'm paid to edit the video. I'm paid to, like, you know, do like whatever tasks that are laid out before me before I take on the job. And then if I accept the job, I do those tasks. Anything extra, either I don't do or I charge extra because I should be paid for the jobs that I do. You get me? Obviously, this will be different from person to person and job to job and role to role and all this sort of stuff, but you gotta command respect where you can while you're working. Otherwise, people are just gonna offload more shit onto you, and that's the last thing you want. There's probably better people who have talked a lot more deep into this and who've explained things better and who have given better examples and all this sort of stuff about this specific problem, but that's as much as I can give for now, until I figure out more myself and all that. I suppose while I'm at it, I may as well update people as to what's actually going on in my life in terms of video editing stuff. I'm doing regular work now for a streamer called Nivana. I'm just doing like stream highlights, the odd vlog and things like that, you know, just like making things more concise and more enjoyable to enjoy, I guess. Other than that, I'm still doing an NDA contract that I can't go into, and other than that, I'm still working on the Detroit video when I can. It's just I haven't gotten much time to do that recently because I've been focusing on the things that actually paid me, because there are things I want and those things cost money, like Monster Hunter Rise, which releases next month. I'm looking forward to that. But either way, that's been another episode of Tube Squeeze. Sorry for the delay, but the first delay, like the first week I missed, was just because I was doing stuff that I didn't know was going to happen and didn't plan for, and I was helping people out, and it just kind of physically exhausted me. And then last week, the only reason I missed out on that was because I knew I had stuff that was a priority to do, needed to get done, and it took all day, and yeah. So yeah, no guarantee as to whether or not I'm gonna get an episode out next week. I know this is Monday and I missed yesterday, but again, I was doing things, it physically exhausted me, and I figured, fuck it, I've written the notes, I'll do it tomorrow, and here we are. If you have any questions, as always, you can either leave them down in the comment in the video, or at me on Twitter, or in Discord, or if you want to ask your question anonymously, there we are, you can send an email to tubesqueeze@protonmail.com. My name is Dom, and hopefully I'll see you guys next week. Have a good week, folks.